Hi, welcome to another episode of The Gentleman's Jury. I'm your host, Robbie, and today we're going to be talking about a rather controversial subject. How could the U.S. break away from China economically? So you're probably wondering, why would we even want to break away from China economically, right? I mean, we still have a higher dollar value, and yeah, they make all of our stuff cheap. Well, I mean, other than the fact that we lose jobs to them because they make stuff so cheap, and also the big no-no that we're not supposed to say is that most of the time where they get this cheap labor is from the same people that they commit human rights violations against. I mean, what is a Uyghur Muslim camp if not China's personal free labor factory? Obviously that's not true. They're being, the human rights violations there are drastically worse, and the fact of the matter is that you just to try and quantify what's happening to the Uyghurs, you'd have to look at Nazi Germany. I mean, that's not quite at the same um, body count, but definitely at the same level of the the violations there. But back kind of onto why we would want to break away from China economically. We'd stifle their growth, right? An interesting fact I had found out is when we came up with the Best and Brightest initiative, right? Where we pooled all the best and brightest scientists and engineers in the world, and we fly them over here and they help us out for a little bit and then they fly back. Well, a good portion of those best and brightest come from China. You know what they're taking with them? Secrets. China, technologically, I believe, if I remember reading it right, was 12 hours behind us technologically. That's crazy, right? I mean, imagine if we had developed, I don't know, a new form of EMP, right? Boom, 12 hours, China has it. That's stupid. That's dumb on multiple levels. So being economically reliant on China, and I mean we're not reliant on them, but we definitely allow them to build a lot of stuff for us a lot cheaper. Also allows them to have an easier access to some of the stuff that we do. And the Best Riders Initiative also has a lot to do with that, but we'll cover that in another episode. Today, I wanted to talk about, though, getting back on topic. So, we look at our current GDP, which is the, you know, how we measure our money, right? China said that it had expanded by 2.3% last year to 1.1.6 trillion yuan. That's 14 trillion. Um, that puts China economically only $6.2 trillion behind us in growth, and we went down in 2019. Now, of course, you have to kind of take this with a grain of salt because we did just get the coronavirus, which hindered our economy drastically. Thank you, China, for that, by the way, as we've found out it came from Wuhan. Oh, you're not allowed to say that either. But um, when we look at the things that we import from China, the biggest things that we import, right? 19.92% of things we import from China is machinery and electrical. Machinery and electrical. That's microchips, that's power saws, that's, all sorts of stuff that we could definitely have a factory here building. And you know what that factory would probably have? Better jobs. Now, I read on this article on npr.org, and it says, they're trying to kind of they're trying to say, oh, we shouldn't be too harsh on China. We're not really taking all that much from China. Well, they said one of the big reasons is that we might have all these really good U.S. goods, but we keep seeing Chinese goods because they're so cheap. Well, yeah, they're cheap. You think they pay their labor force above a penny? I mean, they sometimes might, but not likely. And definitely not in the Uyghur Muslim kind of internment deal. They're also saying, you keep hearing about a big trade deficit with China. Well, fun fact, that big trade deficit is the only thing that kind of keeps China in check with us. They feel that they have money over us. We feel we have power over them. So, do with that what you will. Then they're like, well, U.S. manufacturing jobs have been disappearing for years. But that doesn't mean U.S. manufacturing industry is disappearing. No, it kind of is. If the jobs are disappearing, that means the industry is disappearing. Their excuse is, no, they're just growing long term. They're moving to more high tech systems, don't require factories full of assembly line workers. Well, if we allowed that kind of growth short term to long term, it'd be a little bit easier for us Americans, a little bit better economy wise. We might recover a bit, getting more jobs, less unemployment. But hey, what do they really care? They're probably getting their money from them, because that's one thing China does really well, right? Block out anyone that disagrees with them. Take, for instance, John Cena. Oh, I'm sure you've heard about this already. If you've even watched anything from Ben Shapiro or anyone like that, right? John Cena made a statement thanking the Taiwanese people. We can't have that in China, right? Taiwan's not Taiwan, it's just China, even though Taiwan's its own independent country. Can't say that though, right? Because it doesn't appease the mighty Chinese overlords who control, Fast and the Furious 9, by the way, which should have died a long time ago as a franchise. They're their little slice of China's money, right? They just keep on, they keep wanting that Chinese money. They keep wanting that. Oh, their theaters will be packed. Cool, but what cost? Yeah, that's right. You're sitting there thinking, wow, that probably cost those people nothing. No, you're now supporting people who commit human rights violations and then tell the world, oh, well, you need me. The next second big thing they import, right, is a category that kind of goes under miscellaneous goods. That's clothing, or little textiles would be more kind of clothing, but that's like spoons, things like that. I mean, like, it's just miscellaneous stuff. And we import about 12.2% of that, which is last year. Of course, you have to take into account that last year we were, still kind of sanctioning them a bit. Or not sanctioning. I mean, it was sanctioning. But, we were kind of, we were kind of, still undergoing we can't get stuff from overseas because of the coronavirus and everything like that. But that's still 671,742 I believe containers imported. God knows how much of that stuff is like, it could be anything from like a golf ball probably to an oven, right? And kind of hitting back on the machinery and electrical, 1,091,224 containers worth of stuff. And imagine if some of those were microchips. Yeah. The third thing that I kind of hit on already is textiles, 11.3%, which was 619,407 containers worth of textiles. That's clothing, that's curtains, that's towels, right? Imagine if we had, I don't know, 5 new factories for textiles. And all we had to do is import raw material. And we don't import raw material from China, right? Because there's a whole other continent that's still trying to be developed that we could be pulling from. That's right, Africa. We could get our little slice of pie from there. And it'd be helping out those Africans who are trying to develop their economies, those third world countries who might see a real reason for change, like Somalia, for instance. Maybe if they actually had some economic opportunity, we wouldn't have to deal with Somalian pirates so much. I'm not saying all crime there would go away. I mean, you look at the US, we still have high crime rates, right? But it helps. And it gives those people a chance. And that's what matters. So we have kind of talked about the top big three things that we've imported from them, right? Well, here's what you want to do if you want to cut China off, right? We have to stockpile. And the reason that you stockpile, right, is because I'm suggesting that we cut China out cold turkey. No more Chinese imports. No more China involvement. China's out. They're dead to us. We cut them. They're left sitting on the bathroom floor, in half because you just snip them right out of the picture, right? So we probably need to stockpile on some of the big things that we import. One of those things, interestingly, I had learned this from a good friend of mine, were I believe he called them transistors, and we use them in our power poles. Kind of important, right? Kind of ridiculous that we have to build them in China and then bring them here. We should really crack down on U.S. corporations for that. I mean, I don't blame them for looking for the cheapest way to, maintain their profit margin. But we should really cut China out of that picture. And corporations could really help with that. And it would look a whole heck of a lot better. Of course, corporations nowadays are still trying to deal with the whole race thing that the Democrats are pushing on them. Take Coca-Cola, for instance. I mean, they keep getting flack after flack after flack of things that, Coca-Cola did, like the whole race bias training and all that good stuff. God, you gotta love America, right? We're so wrapped up in our own bullshit that's being perpetuated by people who don't care about us. They just care about meeting the status quo. And that's where we end up with it. And I mean, that might seem like an off statement, but that's how we treat China, right? I mean, that's why John Cena can say, oh, I retract my statement for the Taiwanese people. Sorry, China. Please don't take away money from my movie, right? Maintain that status quo. God. When did we become a whole bunch? There's a word for it, but I don't want to say it. But you know what I'm thinking. When did we do that? When did we become a whole bunch of cowards and pussies about everything? Right. Well, it's when we started electing people who care more about maintaining their position of power than actually doing something to better their communities. That's why you get people like AOC. It's where you get people like LeBron James being heralded as the greatest ever, but he sits there and talks trash about the United States. Oh, but he'll praise China. Otherwise, how would those 2K games sell really well, right? How would his merchandise over there sell really well? How would he get his nice little exclusive with Nike or Jordan or whoever he's paired with, right? Because, those shoes are being made over there. God. It's ridiculous. We're allowing our economy to be controlled by people who don't respect other people as people. Everyone's, there's some of you who are listening are probably like, well, we're all about that. America doesn't treat people like people. I mean, look at systemic racism. That's the dumbest argument. Of course. Oh, but look what you did to Native Americans. God. We didn't kill Native Americans to the point where we didn't sit there and force them into camps to castrate them. We did it with the Japanese. We didn't castrate them or, or try to force them into anything. We didn't intern Japanese people during World War II. Kind of a dark period in our history, but it was time of war, and I mean we weren't straight up looking for a final solution like Hitler or like China right now with the Uyghurs. My whole point about this, and I feel like I kind of rambled here a bit, but the whole point is that why are we giving in to people who commit human rights violations because we want to depend on their money? When if all we did was pull our money out, built up our economy, and got other countries to join in, China would be left there with their worthless yen again. So I'm going to take you to a little bit of history real quick just to contextualize how China got to be at this point, right? Richard Nixon, this brilliant man dealing with the Cold War, right? Nixon wasn't all that brilliant. It's a sarcastic comment in case you couldn't tell. He thought, what would be a good way to kind of, put pressure on the Soviet Union? Let's open up our market. Let's kind of import our market ideas, our capitalist ideas, over to China. And eventually, breed out the communist ideology with capitalist ideology. Thinking about it, right? It sounds really good, like a really good idea, right? Except China said, cool, we'll take your economy and we'll keep our ideology. And that's how we get stuck where we are today. That's where you get stuck, sitting here, listening to me when other people should be talking about it, right? We should be straightened to China's grill right now about that crap. We should be trying to free those people. God, you think for all the countries in the world who have witnessed the atrocities of World War II, we try to stop those atrocities from happening right now? Guess not, right? We'd all rather maintain the status quo. We'd all rather maintain all our nice little things from China. Oh, like KitchenAids. You want a nice mixer? Oh, buy it from China. They built that thing for 5 pennies and sold it to you for $50. You want our economy to, falter because we want to give China more and more of our industries. Joe Biden's really great about that. Trying to push a $6 trillion bill for budget spending. Money we don't have because we give it all to China. Because he's in league with them. A lot of people are. And that hurts. That doesn't hurt us like physically, right? That hurts you as spiritually, and it should, as American, hurt you spiritually, right? You should feel betrayed that people would rather sell and bust our economy for a foreign power, especially one that doesn't even share our beliefs. How ridiculous is that? And I know I went on a little bit of a rant here, and I'll get back on topic, but how ridiculous is it that we are so weak-willed that we maintain the status quo and allow politicians like Joe Biden to push pro-Chinese agendas? God. We'd allow people to choose how we educate our children, right? We allow people we allow freaking universities to push straight pro-Marxist ideology. I'm in college. I sit through my classes and listen to these teachers praise, you know, socialism and postmodernism, which is just socialism as a cover, right? Because once communism, kind of collapsed with the Soviet Union and everyone saw all the atrocities happening, they were like, ooh, well, you know, they didn't do it right. We'll just call it postmodernism now. God. And that education system allows that. And that doesn't piss you off? Doesn't get your blood boiling? I mean, I have sons, right? That like they're not school age yet, but when they are in school, how do you deal with that if they keep pushing it? Stand up, America. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for what's right. That's what we used to do. We used to stand for what's right. We used to look at people like China and we go kick their teeth in for doing something like, human, basically genocide of the Uyghur Muslim people, right? Now we're just like, as long as I get my money. When did we develop to be so selfish? Yeah, you take that long pause and think about it. So I did. To get back on track with, more reasons to break from China, right? CCP. The CCP maintains that they're a, socialist republic, even though a few years ago, I believe, I don't know how to pronounce China's president. Let me just give me a second here. I think Xi Jinping tried to basically proclaim himself emperor, right? Doesn't sound like a social republic to me. He banned Winnie the Pooh because it hurt his feelings because people compared him to that, right? You're gonna let somebody who, I mean, that's just a megalomaniac type thing to do. It's egotistical, right? You want to know how long his term is? He's been in power since 2013. Hmm. I do believe we've gone through two presidents. Yeah, really love China. So let's let's look at you know some of his predecessors, right? Let's see. You had Mao Zedong, that terrible, terrible human rights violator in and of itself, right? Served from 54 to 59. Oh wow, 5 years. I mean, that's only because he retired and eventually died. Thank God. Then you had Jiang Zemin from 93 to 2003. That's 10 years. Okay. Starting to see a pattern here. So do you think he'll step down in 10 years? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. No, but what do I know, right? Just some kid out of nowhere, right? China does terrible things, and we let it stand by, and we stand by it. So I apologize for rambling there. It just gets my blood boiling when I think about all the things we let them get away with in order to meet our little economic status quo and to keep building their economy with our economy. We're building our economy under with them as a foundation. It's dumb because they'll grow through us. That's how that'll work. Kind of back onto more reason, or not necessarily reasons to cut ties from China, but some of the things that you know benefit the world, right? How many countries do you think would follow us if we cut ties with China? I can think of a few. Australia. They don't seem to like China that much. Spain, maybe. Portugal, Italy. A lot of the NATO states probably would follow us. That's a good portion of the developed world right there. I think India might follow us. I mean, I found out recently that India's first prime minister was communist, but I don't know if they share that kind of sentiment now. Um, Saudi Arabia probably stick with their little money. I think a lot of countries would follow us through if we, developed a better system, more reliant system, a more American system to benefit Americans. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? The benefit for us, the people, the working class. I mean, imagine how many people wouldn't be unemployed right now if prices dropped because we developed better. And I mean, we're going to touch on a whole bunch of other subjects coming up, like Joe Biden shutting down natural gas pipeline, along with the Keystone pipeline and a couple other things to push some Green Deal BS. Well, you know, but I mean, I'm looking through some of our stuff. Some of the stuff that we import from them. Just set up a new factory. We have tons of corporations. If they set up factories here and we made it harder for them to go to China, that's the other thing, right? Make it harder for deny corporations the ability to build roots in China. They want to build roots other places, that's fine, but not China. Starve the Chinese of this economy. Build out our economy. Start thinking pro-American. America's not that bad. Have you ever looked at world history? I know a lot of people my age don't, because they don't know half the important things that we've done as Americans. Or if they do, they twist it with some 1619 Project BS. I still have arguments about how slavery, the Civil War really fought out, still have arguments about the difference between a British colony and America. Thanks to that freaking horrendous piece of fan fiction, whatever the hell she wants to call it. It's basically just fiction she's trying to proclaim as truth. That, politicians are going, oh yeah, no, we need to teach that because it's so important. Because race identity politics is super in right now. It's disgusting. But, we sit here and we build better roots. And we can help develop the third world countries. Africa is full of resources. Imagine how much better life would be for them if we were to put, say that Jordan factory they have in China right now, right? They pull that out and they put it in some African country, offer them some jobs, right? And they start building up their economy a little bit better, the same way China built up under us, right? We start building them up, right? Now they're doing better. And now we're doing better because maybe what we really do is we set up, more of like a raw resource gathering type deal in Africa, and then we ship it to the U.S. to build it, right? Because now we're building ourselves up, and then we're more equipped to handle things. We're more self-reliant, and we knock China. I mean, theoretically, you could knock China out of the superpower war, right? It's down to us and Russia. And when Putin dies, like most of the time, there might be a nice power vacuum, and then what? Boom. America's number one again. And then we can really focus internally. Start developing world measures. You know what the problem? And this is a little off topic, but this is something I've thought about for a long time. If we could just unify under a single pro-human ideology, right? I'm not talking pro-white or pro-black or pro-Asian, but pro-human, right? Human development. We could reach across the stars. We could, God knows what we could do. We're so adaptable. I mean, think in 50 years we went from the first plane to being on the moon. I mean, it was a little bit more than 50 years, but still. We went from the first airplane to landing on the moon. If that's not, incredibly adaptable in a short period of time, I don't know what is. And if we could manage, right, to knock out these other ideologies, to maintain the republic that we've built so carefully for 250 years. Here's a little interesting thing from the Roman Empire, right? During the Republic of Rome, they would do things specifically and cautiously and built ever so carefully, not because they'll live to see it, right? But because they wanted their idea to last. We could do that. We're capable. I mean, two world wars come by, and when America jumps in, it's totally game changer because we live for that adaptability. World War One, France was still using those stupid blue-colored uniforms from the Napoleonic era, right? We developed, we used freaking shotguns in trenches because they were effective, even though most people wouldn't have thought that right. We could adapt without a world with China, is what I'm trying to say. We could build a United States, a world where we aren't reliant on Chinese material, Chinese interference with anything. We have the capability. We have the adaptability. We just need to, get the backbone for it. Get rid of, clean house on these politicians, clean house on people that you know for a fact aren't there for your interest or but they're for their own. People like AOC, people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I'm mostly naming Democrats that immediately pop into my mind, but there's some Republicans out there too. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly. I'm just, telling you what they, people talk about on the news. Get rid of those people. Get intelligent people in office who are willing to put in time and effort to developing us. Get rid of Chinese leverage in our politics. I mean, this is kind of going down a different road from, just removing them from our economy, but the idea is to remove China from the equation entirely. And the quickest way is to, hit their money. That's what they care about. It's really easy, I mean, it's not easy. It'll be hard. It'll be hard to cut, somebody that we've spent, Nixon, something like 60 to 80 years with, who developed underneath us. We're essentially raising our house up and finding a new foundation. But we should do it. We absolutely need to do it. I don't see any reason why we aren't. There isn't a single reason that comes to my mind that we haven't just gotten rid of China. I mean, hell, they knew about the coronavirus and they still let it happen because it didn't matter to them, right? They saw how it was affecting them and said, oh, we could just affect all the world economies. And you know who still came out on top? China. They don't care about us. They care about their money. They care about their status quo. Stop giving into that. I mean, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's just something I'm passionate about is getting rid of Chinese influence in just about everything. Especially because I found out they were committing war crimes 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and I didn't even hear about it on any real channel or podcast or anything for about that amount of time, right? Because that was when I was serving in the military, and we kind of knew about it, and everyone just glances over it. We just let it pass us by, and that's what bugs me. We're wake up, people. If they're willing to do that to their own population, what are they willing to do to us? It's ridiculous. And I apologize for that kind of rant there. It's just when you get passionate about a problem like this, you tend to start talking about all the issues you have. But it's a serious issue. It's something we really need to consider changing. So we're gonna wrap up this episode here. Um, and next we're gonna talk about an idea. Next episode, we'll be talking about an idea for bringing in something the Romans had, called a kind of like a grain tax or the grain dole, right? And to kind of give you a sneak peek on that, it's essentially, we're going to try and rework the welfare system in the United States to help better push people to getting employed over sitting on welfare. Um, but that's it for this episode. This, as always, I thank you guys for listening. If you have any feedbacks, feel free to leave a comment, or if you're so inclined, send an email to gentleman'sjury@gmail.com. And I'll happily chat with you about whatever you want. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.